Hello, welcome back. I hope you watched part one. If you haven't had the chance after you watch this, you can always go back to part one. Today is part two of our special series, The Conversations We Fear But Need. In this part of our journey together, we're stepping even deeper into the quieter, often hidden layers of grief and love that don't always get spoken out loud. We'll talk about how to grieve a future that will never happen, the dreams, the milestones, the life you imagined but had to lay down along the way, because sometimes it's not just people we lose, it's whole worlds we once hoped for. So we'll open space for the complicated grief of relationships that ended even before death, when goodbye isn't so neat, when love and hurt are tangled together, and when we are left grieving what could have been, not just what was. And we'll explore how to prepare a spiritual will, how to leave behind not just possessions, but the deeper treasures of our lives, the love, the wisdom, the memories that truly outlast us. These conversations are really not easy, but inside them there's something sacred, the chance to honor our real stories, to heal what often stays hidden, and to choose to live fully, honestly, lovingly, even in the face of loss. So, wherever you are right now, if you're driving, please keep safe while you're listening, or maybe you're walking or just resting, or simply, breathing through a hard day. You are welcome here. Let's take a deep breath together and step into the conversations that hold more healing than we ever imagined. So let's talk about how to grieve a future that will never happen. Today we're opening the door to a kind of grief a few people talk about. The grief for a future you imagine, but it will never get to live. It could be the dreams you had to lay down after an illness, the plans that were shattered by loss, the milestones, or a wedding, a child, a career that you had to live to take care of someone you love, a journey that life gently or sometimes brutally said no to. This kind of grief doesn't come with funerals. There's no service, no flowers, no public acknowledgement. But make no mistake, it's real. It's heavy. It lives in the quiet corners of our hearts, but it deserves to be honored. I remember a moment after my own cancer journey when it really hit me. Life wasn't just picking up where I left it off. Some dreams had slipped away. Some doors have quietly closed. And while I was so grateful to still be here, I had to grieve the life I thought I can return to. The version of my future was no longer mine to claim. There's no manual for these things. No one prepared me for that part. No one told me that sometimes survival and sadness would sit side by side in my heart. And you know what? That's okay. It doesn't make you ungrateful, it makes you human. So, naming the invisible loss, sometimes grief isn't about who we lost, it's about what we lost, the career path. I remember a client who loves both her parents but had to give up a career she truly loves to be able to take care of them. The body that once felt strong, you also grieve for that body. The relationships that didn't survive the storm. I cannot underemphasize how many marriages and relationships are broken when they don't survive the cancer journey. The dream life we built in our minds. This is the grief that no one claps for, the grief we carry silently while the world expects us to move on. But inside us, there's a tender ache that says that was supposed to be my story. I thought I had more time. I thought it would be different. So, how do you honor the future you lost? So, how do we grieve about this? That because you're a cancer survivor, your whole reproductive organ had to be taken away. No one knows that you can no longer have that baby. How do you grieve for that? For someone or something that will never happen. We start by acknowledging it, naming it, speak it, write it, whisper it to someone safe, give it a form, give it words. Example, I thought I would be a mother. I thought I would travel the world. I thought I can still run marathons. I thought we'd grow old together. Say it without shame, then bless it. Thank the dream for what it gave you. The hope, the beauty, the desire to live fully, even if it didn't come to pass. Finally, create a space for your new story, not as a replacement, not to erase what was lost, but to honor the truth that life, even when broken, still holds wonder, it still holds possibility. Let's talk about another grief. Grieving relationships that ended before death. Is there such a thing? There is. Today, we're giving voice to a grief many people carry but rarely talk about. Grieving relationships that ended before death. Grief isn't always neat. It doesn't always follow a beautiful storyline of love, loss, and tender remembrance. Sometimes we lose people while they're still alive. The relationship gets broken through distance, betrayal, addiction, anger, misunderstanding, or just the pressure of what is going on in your lives really break relationships. So when death eventually comes, the goodbye isn't simple. It's tangled with hurt, regret, guilt, what ifs, and the things left unsaid. So how does this feel like? You might feel sadness, but also anger. You might feel guilt, but also relief. You might mourn what was and mourn even harder for what was never allowed to be. This kind of grief doesn't always look like the movies. Sometimes you cry, sometimes you feel nothing, sometimes you're haunted by the question, could it have been different? Or did I do enough before it was too late? If you're carrying a grief like this, I want to say something clearly. You are allowed to feel it. Give yourself the permission to feel it. You're allowed to grieve the relationship you wish you had, not just the one you did. You're allowed to mourn the brokenness, the absence, the distance. You are allowed to wish it could have ended differently. You're allowed to cry for the might have beens and still hold gratitude for what little goodness there might have been too. Grief isn't either or. It's both and. So how can we honor the loss even when we refer to it as complicated? Name the truth. Say what was good, what hurt, without editing yourself. Just be vulnerable. Grieve what never was. Mourn the conversations, the healing, the closeness you didn't get. And please release the guilt. Forgiveness of them, of yourself, isn't about pretending it was okay. It's about choosing peace for your own soul. Remember, forgiveness is not given because the other person deserves it. You give it because you deserve peace. You can create a ritual. Write a letter, burn it, light a candle, speak their name with honesty, not just sweetness. Grieving complicated relationships is still sacred work. Today, we're exploring a different kind of legacy, not measured in money or possessions, but in love, wisdom, memories, and the invisible threads we leave behind. And when we think about what we leave behind someday, the first thing that comes to mind are usually what? Material things, the house, the savings, insurance policies, investments. And yes, those things matter. But if you pause and really ask yourself, what do I most want to leave behind for the people I love? The answer is rarely my bank account. It's usually something deeper. The way you made them feel, the stories you lived, the lessons you learned the hard way, the traditions, the dreams, the love you tried your best to give. That is the heart of the spiritual will. What is a spiritual will then? A spiritual will is a way of capturing your inner legacy. It's your beliefs, it's your hopes, your stories, your messages for the people who will walk this earth after you. It's about leaving behind the invisible treasures that no money could ever buy. Why does it matter that you create a spiritual will? Because when people we love lose us someday, they won't just grieve our absence, they will ache for connection. They will long to hear our voice one more time. They will reach for the lessons we never got to say out loud. They will crave for memories, reminders of what mattered most to us and why it mattered. So your spiritual will becomes a way of staying present in love, in memory, in guidance, even after you are physically gone. I remember a point in my treatment journey when I had doubts that I was going to get better. I was thinking of what can I leave my children with? And the first thing that came to mind was encapsulating lessons that I was never able to sit with them and talk to them about it. If I could, I wanted to pack everything and put it in a capsule so one day they can listen to all these life lessons and wisdom and experiences and how I honor them. This is a place for you to start. How to write your spiritual will? You don't need a lawyer. You don't need a fancy paper. All you need is your heart and your truth. So I want to throw in a few tips to do this. You can write letters to the people you love, telling them what you admire most about them, your hopes for them, what you want them to remember when life gets hard. One of my end-of-life clients, we talked about this, and when I asked him what he wanted to do, he said, for each of my children's milestones, whether it's graduating from elementary, high school, or college, birthdays, debuts, weddings, graduations, having their own children, I want to write a message for each of them and for all these milestones. So we ended up having different folders for his different children. That's such a powerful but simple way to do it. Record your stories, big and small. Moments that shaped who you are. Share your beliefs, not just your religious beliefs, but your truths about kindness, forgiveness, perseverance, and love. Name your blessings and your regrets. Pass on your wisdom without pretending you were perfect. or offer messages, as what my friend did, for milestones, words for their weddings, for the birth of their own children, and all the different milestones in their life. Because you may not be physically able to attend, but you can still touch them with your heart. Remember, a spiritual will isn't about perfection. You're not going to write about how perfect you are. It's about love. It's about continuing connection with them after you're gone. It's about living on in the hearts that hold you. As we close this special series, the conversations we fear but need, I want to honor you. You choose to walk through spaces most people spend their lives avoiding. Talking about dying without shutting down love, naming the truth that you're not okay, grieving for futures that slipped away, mourning complicated relationships that didn't end well, and daring to think about the legacy of your spirit, not just your belonging. You see, these aren't easy conversations. It takes courage. It takes tenderness. It takes the willingness to feel what is real without running or without numbing. But inside these brave conversations, there's healing. Healing for the heart that has loved and lost. Healing for the future we're still learning to live into. Healing for the generations who will come after us. So wherever this series has touched you, wherever it stirred old grief, opened new hopes, or simply reminded you that you are not alone, I pray, I really pray you carry it with you like a quiet light. Because talking about grief, illness, and dying doesn't take life away. It gives it back. It makes love bigger. It makes life more real, more sacred, more alive. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for being willing to have the conversations we fear but so desperately need. And wherever you are on your journey, always remember you are loved. You are not alone. And your story, every messy, brave, beautiful part of it matters.